Just a year ago today, Diddy was issued a key to New York City. Now, fast forward that year, he's now been indicted in the very city that once showed him love. As prosecutors say, he now faces years and decades behind bars, giving a whole new meaning to bad boy for life.
Diddy was just seen leaving court for the first time since his incarceration. The event has also been widely covered by the media. His dejected demeanor as he left the building was captured on camera, demonstrating the gravity of his current legal problems.
Combs is expected back in the Lower Manhattan federal courtroom, and that's as he'll go before the judge presiding over this trial. The music mogul will learn when this will all get underway. His lawyers would like for him to stand trial in the spring, but prosecutors have not taken any position as of yet. Now, Combs has a pile of charges stacked against him, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking, stemming from allegations going all the way back to 2008. Now, his lawyers hope 3 times will be the charm in another appeal to get him out of a Brooklyn jail, requesting the court to order his immediate release. Now, Combs was previously denied, a judge citing Diddy's, quote, substance abuse and anger issue, saying the danger is quite serious for threats and intimidation of witnesses. Now, the 54-year-old's lawyers also filed a motion for an evidentiary hearing, accusing the federal government of leaking hotel surveillance footage of him beating his former girlfriend, Cassie.
Combs made an important appearance Thursday at a hearing in federal court in Manhattan on his ongoing case of trafficking and racketeering. When the judge scheduled the trial on May 5th, it was a significant step in the legal proceedings against the music mogul.
At 5, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back inside a federal courtroom here in New York.
All right, a trial date's now been set for May 5th of next year. Lisa Evers live in Lower Manhattan with the very latest today. Lisa.
Well, Stephen, Natasha, this was Sean Diddy Combs' 3rd time in the courthouse you see right behind me, his first time before a new judge. They did handle these calendar matters and also set that May 5th, 2025 date for the trial to begin. But what was most striking was that his mother, Janice Combs, who's been with him his whole life, flew up from Florida to be with him, as did most of his children, in a show of support. Sean Combs' son Christian, known professionally as King Combs, held his grandmother's hand as they left the courthouse with his other siblings.
We want to hear from you. Anything you want to say at this point.
Judge Arun Subramanian acknowledged that his mother Janice Combs came from Florida for her son, and that his kids also traveled to be in the same courtroom with him.
Outside the courthouse, Diddy caught the public's attention on camera. Diddy arrived wearing a khaki jumpsuit given by the jail and ankle restraints, according to BBC sources on the scene. In stark contrast to his sometimes well-known image as a music entrepreneur, this image underscored the seriousness of the racketeering and trafficking charges against him.
So, Brianna, the judge has set a May 5th trial date for Sean Diddy Combs to face those charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation of prostitution. Now, Diddy was in court today. He entered the courtroom wearing a jail-issued outfit, a khaki long-sleeve shirt, pants. He was also shackled at the ankles. His family members were in the courtroom, his mother and most of his children. He had waved to them, blew a kiss to his mother, and one of his sons had raised and flexed his arm, his bicep, as though to show a sign of strength. Now, this hearing was mostly about procedural issues, working through some of the evidence in the case. Prosecutors said they collected 96 devices back in that March search of Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami. And when they searched him on his person, they said they'd begun going through them, encrypting some of them, and giving them back to the defense. That will take some time.
Despite the dire circumstances surrounding his court appearance, P. Diddy displayed confidence as he navigated the crowd of media outside the courthouse. He maintained his composure, showing that he was resolved to face the accusations. Diddy's presence seemed to suggest that he is prepared to fight the allegations, which may resonate with his supporters who are still hoping for his defense.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here.
Wait a second, so Usher, Pink, Megan Fox, and a bunch of other celebrities are scrubbing all their information off of X, every tweet they've ever done. Well, that's very interesting. That's a rabbit hole in itself. But listen to what AOC is saying right here. They're coming for your free speech, y'all.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but It's another thing entirely to just say things that are false. And so that's something that we're looking at.
During this difficult moment, Diddy's whole family came together outside the courthouse to support him, and they all stood by him as he appeared in court. News outlets on the scene said that Diddy continued to smile and wave at his loved ones despite the gravity of the situation. Diddy's family's support may have given him more confidence when he spoke to the public and media, highlighting the importance of family ties during difficult times. The fact that he was able to smile in spite of the grave accusations against him demonstrates his will to remain resilient and close to those who care about him.
Been able to speak to your son.
What did you say to him when you visited him in court? Is he doing? How are you feeling today?
Diddy had additional support from his mother, who made the trip from Florida to attend his court appearance. Her appearance in court serves as a reminder of the value of family to the music businesswoman at this difficult period. Witnesses saw that Diddy seemed particularly appreciative of his mother's assistance throughout the hectic day, smiling and briefly waving at her. This act highlights the emotional and familial bonds that might provide comfort during difficult times.
Acknowledged that his mother, Janice Combs, came from Florida for her son, and that his kids also traveled to be in the same courtroom with him. Combs' attorney, Anthony Rico, sat by his side throughout the proceeding. He's handling the appeal of his bail denial, which is a separate case in the appeals court.
He's making an adjustment. He had his family here today to support him. We really want to put an end to all of the clowning that we see on the internet. This is a serious proceeding with serious consequences.
The judge set a trial date of May 5th, 2025. The lead federal prosecutor took issue with Combs' attorney Mark Agnefilo's extensive comments in a TMZ documentary, alleging the government was guilty of racial bias and targeting Combs. Agnifilo complained about government leaks to the media. The result was a mutual gag order.
I made a request for the judge to issue what we call the gag order, and the judge is going to issue it on a reciprocal basis. So I'm not going to say anything that I didn't say in my papers and in court.
Women's rights attorney Gloria Allred represents some of the accusers of Combs in civil cases and spoke outside the court.
It's challenging because for many of them, remembering what they allege he did to them is triggering and traumatizing.
Even though the accusations and their details were discussed at the court hearing, Diddy did not address the media as he exited the courthouse. Many people are wondering what he will do next and how he will react to these serious claims since his staff has been silent about the situation. Diddy is scheduled to appear in court again on December 18th, 2024. This next date will be crucial because of the serious allegations against him and the continuing legal proceedings after his imprisonment in September.
I was just recently contacted by someone who wanted me to essentially represent them in the sale of one of the Diddy tapes. So, which I declined that because...
Wait a minute, say that again. Say that again, back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of and to contact the person who was in the video to see if they were interested in purchasing the video before it became a public knowledge.
I've heard this before, so like a catch and kill.
Catch and kill, correct.
Wow, can you, and I guess you can't reveal the person who is on
No, I
tape.
can't explain who the person was, but Mr.
High profile?
Mr. Combs was in the tape and this other person is, I would venture to say, more high profile than Mr. Combs.
Really? Really? And you've seen it?
I've seen stills of the video.
Okay.
So
you can verify
that it exists, that it's real, that the other person in the video is very visible. It's no question if it's that person in the video. And I can tell the video is pornographic in nature.
Oh my, all right. So we know that he videotaped a lot of activities at his home, Diddy. And it sounds like there was probably a lot of hidden cameras as well. Is that what is being talked about?
Yes, this was actually in his Atlanta home, at a home he had in Atlanta at one point. And it does seem that the person isn't like looking into the video, so it's, to me, doesn't seem like that person knows they're being videotaped. It doesn't seem like they're active participant in the videotaping, like they're being surreptitiously recorded.
As the May trial date approaches, this presence is anticipated to provide further light on the case and any developments around the trafficking and racketeering claims. People will be keenly observing Diddy and his legal team during this period to see how they prepare for the challenges that lie ahead. Legal experts are questioning whether P. Diddy's trial will really begin in May, citing the involvement of several child victims as a significant complicating factor.
No way this trial is then going to happen in May?
It's unlikely, especially if there's a superseding indictment involving minors, because minors present a completely different set of circumstances. Because we know through his lawyers, Combs is arguing that the sexual activity happened, but it was consensual. Of course, for sex trafficking, you need one of those three elements: force, fraud, or coercion. Obviously, minors cannot consent to any sexual activity, so that would be a very different defense entirely. The defense would have to be that the activity didn't happen at all and the individuals are lying. So I think that's going to be the potential game changer if we do get the minors wrapped up into a superseding indictment. We know, at least if you believe the civil attorneys, there are 25 minor victims, one of which is as young as 9.
And those suits haven't been filed yet, but that's what Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, has indicated that we should expect to see in these lawsuits. Elizabeth, I want to go to you. So as our other Elizabeth said, there was nothing about bail. And that's not surprising because that issue of bail has now been appealed to a different court, to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. I was going over the paperwork from Sean Combs' attorneys. We have 2 questions about that. Number one, from Simply Sarah on YouTube, his lawyer did file bail paperwork. Yes. This is the second question. This is from Simply Sarah. Oh, Simply Sarah had 2 bail questions. Second one is, was this his last chance for bail? Meaning the paperwork that he just filed.
Yeah, so they filed paperwork basically appealing the decision of the 2 prior judges denying him bail to the Second Circuit. And, technically, if they're denied, they do have another higher court, the U.S. Supreme Court, to go to, but I think that's very unlikely. I think this would be the final stop, them appealing to the Second Circuit.
What do you think of his arguments? And let me just lay out what some of these arguments are. So first they say, we have presented a very attractive bail package. We have put $50 million secured by 2 properties, 24/7 security monitoring from an outside security firm, no access to phone, no access to internet, visitor logs, whatever other conditions you want to put. And they also said in their paperwork, Sean Combs knew he was under investigation since January. His attorneys immediately reached out to the Southern District of New York, even before there were raids, before there was a charges.
There are also additional legal issues when minors are involved as victims, such as questions about their ability to testify and the protections that must be in place to preserve their welfare and identity. Recent findings in the current legal case against Diddy show that 120 victims have come forward with charges against him. Diddy and his legal team are already under a lot of stress, and this large number of accusations might have a big effect on the proceedings. According to reports, there are 9 women and men on the list of alleged children, which is a worrying development in this situation.
And people with foolishness and people with malcontent, but we are sifting through that and trying to make sure that we identify and vet people that have real claims, legitimate, credible claims. Right now, we're talking about 120 people from 25 different states for conduct that occurred over 25 years.
25 different states? Is that what you said? Not cities. You said 25 different states.
Yeah. Because, a lot of these parties obviously took place in Los Angeles, New York, Manhattan, or the Hamptons, and Miami. And a lot of these people were flown in. And this wasn't a secret. I mean, it was known that people were being flown in for these parties. People were being paid cash to attend these parties. People were being identified at clubs or at concerts or on the street even, and invited to these parties. So you have that group of people that are involved. And then you have another group, and maybe this is the more sinister situation where, young people with stars in their eyes wanting to break into the entertainment industry with promises of stardom, who are taken advantage of, in some cases allegedly drugged and abused, and basically just left behind, with shame and guilt.
Diddy's legal team is actively working to get him out of jail, claiming that their client is innocent of the charges against him. The defense will most likely focus on dismantling the prosecution's case in an attempt to highlight any inconsistencies or weaknesses in the evidence utilized against Diddy. Diddy has made 3 failed efforts to get bail. Despite offering a substantial package that includes $48 million and 2 of his homes, his plea was denied each time. It has been questioned whether this is his last chance to get bail, given the gravity of the allegations against him.
Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
How's your dad doing? How's your dad doing?
Family members appeared somber as they arrived at federal court in Manhattan today in another attempt to get out on.
The provision of a substantial bail package demonstrates Diddy's team's commitment to securing his release, especially considering his riches and notoriety. Though many legal experts believe this may be Diddy's last chance to plead for bail, the court's rejection of this package may indicate that they are prioritizing the integrity of the justice system above financial gain.
Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial in May on his sex trafficking charges. A judge at a hearing in Manhattan set the trial date, also discussing a gag order imposed on prosecutors and the defense, telling them not to discuss the case or provide any material about the case to the media, to the public. They contend that the government leaked a damaging piece of evidence potentially against Combs when a videotape from 2016 was played on CNN earlier this year. That video shows Sean Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel in Los Angeles. It had been a secret, private for many years, but then it came to the forefront and was played publicly on CNN. The defense contends that that tape was leaked by investigators. Prosecutors say they have no knowledge of any leak, and they refute the allegation that they were involved in any leaks. The judge says he will consider potentially having an evidentiary hearing to get to the bottom of that. That won't happen for some time. First, the defense and then the prosecution will submit paperwork outlining their positions on this.
When Diddy recently appeared in court, a large number of members of the public and media waited to get a peek of him. Diddy's prominent position in the entertainment world and the gravity of his legal predicament are both reflected in the considerable curiosity. Diddy's accusers are being represented by renowned victims' rights lawyer Gloria Allred, who has been outspoken about the matter. Allred underlined the seriousness of the accusations against Diddy, including abuse and misbehavior, at a recent news conference.
It's challenging because for many of them, remembering what they allege he did to them is triggering and traumatizing.
What do you think about the latest events in Diddy's case? Do you believe that the legal system is handling it appropriately, especially considering that kids are involved? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below.